Every professional has a unique magic waiting to be discovered. At Finding the Unicorn in You helps you unlock your hidden potential. Thank you for tuning in. Now switching it over to our host.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Finding the Unicorn in You. Today, I have a very special guest. She is known as the Badass Business Coach, TM. It is trademarked. She specializes in helping entrepreneurs and business leaders level up in their personal and professional lives. She is also a DISC certified coach with over 29 years of entrepreneurial experience. She focuses on goal setting, building businesses through referrals, and developing strong leadership skills. She is also a really close friend and colleague of mine, so I'm really excited to talk with her today. So welcome, Sandi Ballard.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm also now Enneagram certified.
Ooh, I'm excited for you to talk about that too.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this career.
Oh, well, how I got in here, I guess, February 3rd starts I'll be 13. My business will be 13, I should say.
How exciting.
Yeah. Lucky 13, right? Yeah. So I've been an entrepreneur now for, what'd you say, 29, maybe 30 years. And it was just that I was always working with people to help them get to that next level. Even when I owned my marketing firm, it was always about strategy and growth and doing things differently and stop comparing yourself. And it just finally led me to that path where I was having a what am I doing here moment? Okay, midlife crisis. Yeah. And I just sat down and did a deep dive into my own self and realized coaching was it. What was missing in my life? And so I pared everything down and just started focusing on that strategy part to help people grow personally and professionally.
I love that. And I know you made a big transition in your life from you used to live in Indy, now you're in California. How was that
Yeah.
for you?
Indy to Cali, and I've been yelled at for calling California Cali so many times. I'm Cali till I die, right? I call Indy, so it is what it is. That was an incredible transition. The whole thing where you talk to the universe, and I go back and forth between the whole woo-woo stuff, right? But I stood there. I was visiting my daughter in 2019 in February, where it was cold back in Indy, and I stood there on the beach in Santa Monica and was like, "I don't know how, I don't know when, but I'm gonna live here. I'm gonna be back and live here forever." And within 6 months, the opportunity arose, and here I am. Um, so grateful for the weather, even though, winter is winter here. It just has been a really cool, unique opportunity to meet new people, learn just learn a new atmosphere and everything. It's been a really cool thing, and I still go back to Indy regularly to work with clients and to see friends.
I love that. And I know you started your business in Indy and you had like a really strong business presence over there. And then you had to come over here. And in a way, you kind of had to start over with the relationship building and all of that. How was that process for you?
That one was really tough, especially because I got out here at the very end, September 24th or 5th of 2019.
Mhm.
I was just, busy enjoying wearing shorts and getting tan, and then the pandemic, as I call it, hit. So, that lovely thing. So, it was very interesting. I'm very grateful again to be stuck in a beautiful, warm area during that time. But yeah, I had to start over, and luckily, I'm an extrovert, so I would walk into a room and, just be like, "I'm here." And, um, I will be honest and say I don't have the strong network that I have back in Indy. But yeah, it's definitely, I guess I'm grateful to be an extrovert and not worry about trying to rebuild that. But it was harder because of having, the pandemic hit and being kind of stuck and really like, okay, you can meet people virtually, but are you really getting to know that person? So that was probably the toughest part of it.
Yeah, I could imagine. And what advice do you have for people that may have started that transition to maybe they just came from another state or they just opened up their business and
Well,
I don't know what to
good.
do?
I will. And it was so funny when you were saying that, I was like, I call him my 90-year-old boyfriend. He might be 97 and not by now. He's in Indy. I love him to death. Marion Hall. He'll live to be 300,000 years old. Like Yoda. He is like Yoda, but he told me once, this was so many years ago when I was still living in Indy. He's like, Sandy, you have to be 50 miles away from your hometown to be famous. And I was like, okay, cool. And I found more success when I started traveling to speak and to coach and do some team building facilitations. So I was all excited and I was like, hey, I'm going to be famous now. And actually, it has been still interesting holding on to that network and seeing, because I'm out in California, you find out who your true friends are, your true following is. So I'm not saying to everybody out there, you're starting to move away
Mhm.
just to become famous, but it definitely did hold some truth to it. It's like the people closest to you don't really get it. Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes. But yeah, so just starting out or just maybe you've moved, do your best, even if you're an introvert, to dig in and take that step and go meet people. There are groups that are focused more on introvert. If you are introverted, meet people virtually if that feels better to you. Don't try to do too much because you will freak out and kind of reel back in or you'll burn out. So
Yeah.
just just do your best to find the people that you resonate with and that your target market is too. Go to where your target market is. You and I have talked about that with, HR professionals both being a target market for both of us. It's like, where are they hanging out?
Yep.
Yeah, let's go creep on them.
And I think that's like as an entrepreneur and business owner, I think that was one of my hardest things to know because it's hard when you're a person that likes helping people and you want to be able to help them as much as possible. And you're like, I want to help everyone, but you can't really do that. There's a saying, you help everyone, you help no one.
And my mentor, it was sort of twofold. I was talking to her about a client one time, just about that where I was frustrated and I felt like I was not helping that client like I should be or could be. I just was hitting a block. And she goes, you know what, Sandy? You can't help everyone.
Hmm.
I have to remember that. And you can't want it more than them. And
Yeah.
that doesn't matter what you do, it's like, you have to remember that. So, if you're running into a roadblock or challenges and you just feel like you've hit a dead end with a client, you have to remember, not saying, "Oh, it's him or her, not me." It's just sometimes it's just not the right match. But yeah, it's like you said, if you try to help them all, you'll help no one. Well, you can't want it more than them either.
That is so true. In case management, there's a 70-30 rule where you have to give 30% and then the client gives 70% because it's their life. They're the ones in control. So they have to be putting majority of the work in. You're just there to provide the
Mm.
advice, the accountability and the reminder that they can do it and motivation. And it's funny that you say that because I didn't really learn that until I had a coach myself. And then she told me, she reminded me of that rule, and I was like, "This
Mm.
is something I've been preaching for my whole life," and I fell for it. So
Yeah.
70-30.
It's so hard because you want it. You're like, "Can't you see it?" It's like leading the horse to water. Sometimes you gotta dunk the horse's head in the water and be like, "It's right here. Drink it." But yeah,
Exactly.
that's good to remember 70-30 because they have to have skin in the game.
Mhm. And this is why it's so important to, like, I know one of the issues with coaches and business owners is that you feel guilty for setting a certain price at times. And you're like, "Oh, what if that's too much for somebody?" Or, like, maybe, like, I'm trying to help them, I shouldn't be hurting them in their pockets, and it's not really. A lot of the times, they need to invest in order to take it seriously.
Yes.
And I've given out free coaching sessions, I've given out free group coaching sessions, and some people benefit from it, but a lot of them don't show up, they don't do the homework, they don't do the work.
Yep.
And then the ones that have paid for it do the work, do the homework, and actually see the improvement. And I'm like, wait a minute, am I hurting them by making it cheaper?
Right. It there and it's yeah, we have to remember no matter who we are, McDonald's doesn't discount their Big Macs.
Yeah,
I mean, why are we discounting our value? Why are we discounting what we do? We provide a service. You know, it is what it is. And I think there's always going to be that exception, but let's remember what we do for a living, and let's remember what we have, and like you said, there has to be skin in the game, and we have to remember what our value is that we're offering.
exactly. Exactly. And they have to care more about the change in their life. Like you said, we can't be caring more than them.
Right. Yeah.
So with that, a lot of the times we tend to care so much that we can overburden ourselves and stress ourselves out. What do you do to kind of maintain that work-life balance and manage your stress levels?
Oh, well, we have to remember to put ourselves first. I had a client, I've done lots of group coaching over the years, and there was one woman who was just having overwhelmed. She was late, didn't put it on her calendar, had too many things going on. I know how her mind works. And I drew a big circle on a notepad and divided up kind of like little pies and scribbled in there, and was like different sizes. And it was like, I had her rattle off like kids, business number 2, this, that, the other. And there was just this one little sliver left, just this little sliver left. And I said, this is all you have left
Mm,
for you. This is all you are. And that's how you show up. So if you've got all these things going on and you've got maybe 20% capacity left, that's how you're showing up. You're giving your clients or your customers or your patients or whatever you do 20%. We think, oh, well, we're giving them 80%. No, you're mentally only giving them 20%. So if you put yourself first above kids, spouses, maybe the God, there's however, whatever you hail to, sometimes we have to remember we are number one no matter what. We talked about that. Put your oxygen mask on first.
yeah.
I fought that for so long. Thank God, and hopefully I'm knocking on wood that I won't ever have to really legitimately do that. But it's like if we're not thinking clearly, we're not running at 100%, we're not able to help other people. So put yourself first, and if that means checking out, reading a book, binging on Netflix, going and working out, taking a walk, doing whatever it is you need to do. I had one client, she was going through a rough patch, like personally, professionally, everything, and she was just exhausted. And she's just like, she was dreading going home because, I mean, she wasn't she had a young child, it was toddler. And so it wasn't that she was dreading going home to her family. She was dreading that after all this chaos at work, she had to go home to a toddler boy and her husband. And she never knew what she was walking into. I was like, okay, literally pull around the corner. And she actually just mentioned this the other day. She was like, I used to just stop at the cul-de-sac right before I got home and just park for like 10 minutes and take a nap. She would just and she's actually taken a nap in her garage before too. Before she just pulled it together, took that quick cat nap, and just took a breath, got her mind right, so she could handle whatever spaghetti on the wall, who knows, she could handle it with that fresh breath of air. So
Yeah. And it's like those little things that really do matter. And you do have to put yourself first. It's not selfish for you to do that. And that's an activity that I do with a lot of like my coaching clients. It's like, okay, I want you to list the 10 most important people in your life and categorize them from 1 to 10. 1 being the most important, 10 being the least. And they name all these people, like their mom, their dad, their spouse, their brothers, their sisters, their kids. And I'm like, okay, interesting. Where are you on this list? And then people are like, oh,
not even 10. Wow. At least number 2.
yeah. So we always have to be number 1 on that list. And it doesn't make you selfish, and you can't take care of anybody else if you're not well equipped to have all the tools to save yourself first.
Yep. Yep. And I do remember years ago when my daughter, she's not 7 anymore, but when she was 7, and I was helping out this organization, and it was draining because they were a hot mess. But it was, that love hate. But I got home and I would be like, okay, okay, I just need that 20 minutes. So I would actually literally tell her, and she would sit there so quietly. And she still remembers this 22 years later. She's like, I used to just sit there and wait. And she knew, she kept track of time. And then I would be like, okay. And she's like, okay. But she knew, but I gave her those boundaries. I had to build those boundaries and just be like, because I'd come in without that, but prior to that, asking for her for that time, I just I was in and we were butting heads and she had homework and she was hungry and all this stuff and ugh. So after that, we had a whole different relationship. It was, but you got to set the boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries are important. And I was literally just talking to the client that every time you're setting a boundary, you have to remind yourself, if I say yes to this, or if I say, like, if I allow this to happen, what am I sacrificing or saying no to in the process?
Mm, yeah. Good reminder.
Yeah.
Definitely a reminder right there. Yeah. Because, you don't have time to say yes to everything.
Mm-mm. No. And then sometimes you overcommit or you forget things, or things
Mhm.
happen, and you have to be able to take those rests, those things to take care of your body so that you can still perform at 100 every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So before I go into the last question, I do want to give you like a time to explain, because I know you said you have two certifications. One is DISC and the other is the Anagram or
Enneagram. Yep.
Enneagram. So for our listeners that don't understand or have never heard of this, can you explain it?
Oh, yeah. So DISC is well, they're both, I want to say, people call them personality assessments. I like to call them communication and growth tools
Love that.
because DISC is more focused on like I would say it was more communication. So I use that a lot I use that with all of my coaching clients just to learn how you communicate, how you like to give and receive information. And this is helpful at home too, because you understand, even my daughter, I guess my daughter's before she even took the test, that it's great because, when you're trying to, I want to say, work through a challenge or win an argument, at home, it's just as powerful as at work because the knowing who you are can help you, as I say, with triggers. If you hear yourself, like if I hear myself saying, that's not logical 3 times, I know I'm being resistant to listening.
Mm.
I know I'm in, a certain mode to where I'm not open to receiving. And so I teach everyone to catch themselves with what triggers, but also learning to be respectful of how other people want to receive information. If you're the type that gets frustrated when people ramble, or you're the type that walks into a meeting and just gets right down to it and you wonder why everyone retreats, it's because you're in high D mode, which is D for DISC, very to the point and direct, and let's get going, versus you might be looking at other people and they just wanted you to say, hey, did you have a great weekend? you know, and that kind of thing. So learning to adjust to others' communication style. Enneagram, Enneagram, I will tell you, blows my mind because there are so many variables to it, but it's a lot deeper into, and it helps you understand your triggers as well. It really will help you understand your growth and how to snap out of. So again, with those triggers, snap out of where if you're stressed. So that I could talk about for even longer than this probably as well. But anyway, they're both really great communication tools and tools to help you learn how to grow and manage your stressors, manage when you get into a high pressure situation.
Mm. I
Yeah.
love it. So this would be very beneficial for, like, let's say a business owner that is trying to understand and maybe solve some work problems with their employees.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. If they want to stop hearing about the he said, she said stuff and learning how to handle frustrations and things like that, yes, very beneficial.
Awesome. So you heard it here. So if you have a business and you're looking at maybe bringing somebody in to help you diffuse some of these issues, or if you just want to understand and help your employees understand a little bit more on how they work and maybe better ways to suit workflows, bring Sandy in so that she can help you understand and open up your eyes a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Well, that's amazing. So we are running out of time. So I want to ask you the last question, which is the premise of the podcast. So what unicorn lesson have you learned that impacted your life the most and made you the person that you are today?
Oh, well, the last 2 years I've had 6 surgeries. Um, Luckily, nothing life-threatening, but very much to deal with pain and things. 3 were on my hands, 3 were on my knees. I'm now partially bionic, but through all of that, through the pain and rehabilitation and rebuilding, I learned to practice what I preach, which was put yourself first.
Mhm.
I did say no to some things because I realized I was overcommitting and my energy level needed to be focused on my own personal healing. So I learned to say no because no is a complete sentence. And even not right now on some things. But I had to learn with that part of myself first to give myself grace. There were so many times, days after surgery, I was like, why am I so tired? I'm feeling so unproductive because I am such a go, go, go person. You know, it was like, give yourself the rest. You're gonna be tired. Take take advantage of that your body saying, "Go to sleep." Like, give yourself grace and don't feel guilty because you're giving yourself that time to rebuild and regenerate. And if I would have tried to push through that, how would have I been showing up for my clients?
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah, and I looked at my other half, Tad, that I call him the man candy. I I caught myself in this moment, this, like, verbal vomit meltdown, and I stopped and I was like, "I should go read my 3rd book, The Magic Pill." It's like, "Nothing's gonna happen quickly," and all that, and he just looked at me and started laughing. He goes, "Yeah, yeah, I can go get you a copy if you want." So sometimes I had to learn to remind myself of what I preach to my clients. So,
I love that. Thank you so much for that. And I do want to give you a chance for you to be able to talk about your books as well as your
oh,
podcast. So tell us a little bit about that.
yes, I have 4 books. The 5th one is in progress, so that will be out this year. Um, so they're all on Amazon. Uh, the first one I did in 2015, that sounds so long ago, is the first one is sort of a little bit of a biography. It was like autobiography. It was like I told on myself. The first one was From There to Here. It was how I talked about all these things I was going to do, and it follows that premise of if a goal without a plan is just a wish. And then it just kind of built. They all build on each other, and they refer to each other. They're like mini workbooks. So get the print version, all on Amazon. My podcast, that what I just recorded last week, I released my 422nd episode.
That is amazing.
Yeah, for the first I knew the math there for a while. For the first 5 or 6 years, I did not miss a week. I did it weekly. And then when I started getting into all the surgeries and stuff 2 years ago, so 23 and 24, I had to back down a little bit. So I was doing 1 or 2 a month. So I was like, "You know what? It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's alright," and that's when I really opened up a little bit about my healing and that part as well. So, yep. So the podcast is called No More Excuses. It's on all the platforms, even some wacky platforms called Deezer, and I don't even know. I think I'm in 83 countries.
Awesome.
I had to go look. I was like, "I've never heard of that country or that category before." That was cool. That's really cool.
That's amazing. And as a testament, I may or may have not binge the last 100 episodes.
Oh my God.
They are amazing. They are to the point, very great things. And there's a lot of reflective questions that she asks in there. And each week has a different lesson for you. And you, to be honest, you have helped me in so many ways just because that is such a good reminder. Or I would be listening to it that week and I was like, I was going through this week. That is such a good, like, wow.
Thank you.
It really does help.
Well, and they're like 10, I mean, I think I've gotten up to 15, 20 minutes if I've interviewed someone or I've just gotten on a rant, the soapbox, but they're usually about 10 minutes. So not long. So it's easy to binge them.
Definitely. And if somebody wants to email you, hire you, or just wants to ask you some questions, how can they do so?
Well, my website's pretty easy. It's badassbusiness.coach. And all the access on there, all my social media links, all my a way to email me, get through to me, find me is on there.
Perfect. So for listeners, don't think you have to write all this down. If you scroll down, you'll see all the links in the show notes, as well as if you go to my website at rainbowcareercoaching.com, click the Unicorn Wall of Fame, you'll see Sandi on there, along with all my other unicorns that have been on the podcast. And you'll see a blog about her, a summary of this episode, and all the links. So last but not least, reminder for everyone, the episodes come out every Friday at 7 a.m. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so that this can go to many more people out there. And any last words, Sandi, before we close today?
Oh, keep being a badass, Jaime. Doctor, as I like to call you.
Thank you so much. And until next time, everyone.
All right. Thank you.